Warning, before we begin this video, if you want to watch the X-Men films made by Fox without any spoilers along with Deadpool and Wolverine, click off this video and go watch the movie. Hello guys and gals, it's your boy SSJ Raikou. In today's video essay, I just want to go on a tangent that I've wanted to talk about since Deadpool and Wolverine came out. The only reason I have not talked about this until now is because I know a lot of my audience loved that movie, and I didn't want to be a Debbie Downer. But now that the hype for that movie has long died, I want to finally talk about my favorite X-Men character of all time, Mortimer Toynbee, also known as Toad. Why is he my favorite character, you may ask? Well, without further ado, let's begin the video. In the original run of the X-Men comics, and even the original cartoon, Toad was depicted as fat, ugly, and stupid. He was a very minor character despite being a founding member of the Brotherhood. However, this all changed with the existence of three people, Bryan Singer, Tom DeSanto, and Ray Park. How did these three people change the usual formula of Toad, you may ask? Bryan Singer and Tom DeSanto wrote their own version of Toad and used Ray Park as the man who would play Toad. Unlike Toad's usual appearances, where he was fat, stupid, and ugly, Toad in the 2000 X-Men movie was smart, not as ugly, and physically fit. Whereas the original Toad was cowardly, this version of Toad was brave and always got the job done. Heck, this version of Toad was so cool, he even outshone and made Sabretooth look like a complete idiot. And it doesn't even end there, it gets better. So, Toad was also originally depicted as pretty weak and a skillless mutant, right? Well, Fox took that and said, nope, Toad isn't going to be that way anymore. Threw it out the window, took Ray Park's coolness from Darth Maul, put it in their Toad, and said, perfection. Now, to explain how cool this Toad was, I'm going to show you a clip of Toad absolutely rocking, not just Cyclops, but Jean Grey and Storm's crap.
First Blood. Double kill. Surprise, motherfucker. Bye, bitch. Triple kill.
Now, notice that he opened the fight with his hands and legs, which will be important for later. Keep in mind, he did all of this without being hit once. Not even Jean, someone with telekinesis, could keep this man under control. She literally held him in the air with her telekinesis, and he said, "Get out of here with that crap," and spat mucus that she nearly suffocated on straight on her face. The mucus was so strong that Cyclops had to destroy it with an optic beam. My man didn't just incapacitate one powerful X-Men member, he incapacitated 3, all in the span of a minute. Something that he has never done in any depictions before this. Keep in mind, I actually stopped to watch this scene, so the 1 minute statement is actually true. Toad was an absolute menace to everyone on the X-Men's team in this movie. So there's the cool and brave part. But do you want to know where the smart part comes from? It comes from the fact that he quite literally helped build and work on Magneto's machine, meaning he's a mechanical genius. My man showed up to Fox's X-Men universe and said, "You know, I'm something of a mechanic myself." Keep in mind, it's literally in the plot that Toad was crucial in its development and deployment, meaning my guy was a mechanical genius. You can see him literally working on it in the film with his goggles on, meaning he's smart and he knows what he's doing. Ray Park did Toad absolutely perfectly. He made Toad look both smart and menacing at the same time. Everybody says Ray Park's best performance was Darth Maul, but nah, he did Toad way better than Darth Maul. That's why I think casting him as Toad was perfect. He's a martial artist, so he knows how to fight, and he's British, just like Toad. He fits the role of Toad way better than Darth Maul. I'm sorry, all I gotta say is Ray Park's Toad was absolute cinema, and you cannot convince me otherwise. What makes his performances even better is that he did all of Toad's stunts. Give Ray Park some credit. Now, the way Toad dies in the film is still cool as heck. My man goes out by Storm's full power. Storm was so salty about having her ass kicked that she decided to go full power just to kill Toad. Keep in mind, you can tell that Toad was ready for round 2 when he was approaching her whilst saying, "Don't you people ever die!" And she knew she would get smoked again. So being salty about losing to Toad, that you refused to give him a second chance to fight back by just sending tornado speed winds at him, is just hilarious. Now listen, the X-Men do not believe in merciless killing, which is shown countless times by when they spared Mystique despite the number of times she has tried to kill them. But Storm was so salty about losing to Toad, she literally mercilessly killed him on the spot. Imagine being so salty about losing that you go against your team's moral code just to get a win. Storm is supposed to be wise, mature, but she was such a sore loser that when it came to Toad, that she just gave him a death sentence on the spot. Which tells me one thing. Toad was too cool to exist for the rest of the series. The writers had to kill him because they knew Toad was going to steal the show every single film by beating everyone. Like, imagine being such a menace as a side character. They have to bury you in the Hudson River and strike you with lightning just to make sure that you're dead and gone. By the way, the writers originally planned for Toad to return in X-Men 2, but due to scheduling issues with Ray Park, they had to kill him. Meaning, Toad was so cool, the writers were like, we want to bring him back. And dude, Do you know how that power scaling would go? That would make Toad shrug off Storm's lightning like it was nothing. That's how savage Toad was. That would make Toad even more of a threat if he survived being struck by lightning whilst being in the Hudson River. Keep in mind that would mean that Toad didn't suffer coronoparalysis, which is a temporary paralysis caused by being struck by lightning. That would give Toad an insane durability feat, if only Ray Park didn't have scheduling. Now, my friends, we're going to get to how my man Toad was downgraded over time in the movie. X-Men Days of Future Past downgraded Toad by doing one thing wrong. They made him look older, despite this being the younger version of Toad. You see, the movie takes place during the Vietnam War, and yes, Toad does not have a confirmed age in the 2000 film. We have a problem. Most of Toad's birthdays are in the 80s, with one being in October 4th, 1982, and another saying March 4th, 1980, and even one saying November 5th, 1991, all of which are past Vietnam, which ended in 1975. So, the only birthday that would make sense is his birthday on August 23rd, 1958. X-Men Days of Future Past takes place in 1973. So, using his 1958 birthday, we can say he was likely 15 years old. Does that look like a 15-year-old to you? Yeah, neither do I think that. Also, if he were 15, that would be a violation of the US's drafting policy, which is that you have to be 18 or 17 with your parents' consent. So yeah, unfortunately, I can see why the X-Men Fox series was canceled. The timeline started losing its continuity because Toad looks young in the 2000 film and he looks old as heck in X-Men Days of Future Past, even though this is supposed to be a younger Toad. It's not an insult towards Evan Jonig Kite. I'm just saying he looked way too old to be playing a younger version of Toad in X-Men Days of Future Past. Now, the other downgraded part is that we never get to see him get into a full-on fight. The only fight we see him in is when he wrapped his tongue around a soldier's gun, hit him in the face with it, and took the gun away. So he was reduced to a minor character rather than a side character, which is very, very, very stupid. Now, finally, we get to Toad's worst downgrade. Deadpool and Wolverine. Now, you see, just a disclaimer, I liked the Deadpool and Wolverine movie. I thought it was a pretty solid film. The only problem is that while they gave fan service to Blade fans, Deadpool fans, and Wolverine fans, they did not give me my fan service. What was my fan service? Bringing back Toad's epicness. Now look, I'd excuse the recast for Toad in this film if this weren't Disney we're talking about. They had the money to bring back Ray Park, but that's just a fraction of the problem. It gets worse. So remember how I mentioned earlier that Toad started out his fight with Cyclops, Jean, and Storm with his hands and legs rather than his tongue? It's a part of Toad's fighting style where he relies on his physical strength, agility, and hand-to-hand combat skills, as established in the 2000 movie. Deadpool and Wolverine's Toad is meant to be based on that version. Unfortunately, it would appear the writers didn't pay attention to their homework, because what's the first thing they made Toad do when he was fighting Blade? They made him use his tongue! Something that Toad knows not to do when fighting. Toad knows that his tongue makes him easy to attack, which is why he chose hand-to-hand combat instead when fighting Cyclops, Jean, and Storm. However, I'm not just going to call out these writers on their crap. I'm going to personally say their names right here, right now. Sean Levy, Ryan Reynolds, Rhett Reese, Paul Wernick, and Zeb Wells. You all did terrible with Toad's character, and I'm severely disappointed that absolutely none of you did your homework on Toad. That's all I have to say. I have so many problems with this scene that I will just say that I feel personally insulted by this depiction of Toad shown in my holy church of Toad. I cannot believe that Mr. Ryan Reynolds, an actor who shares my name and whom I love so dearly as an actor, would blaspheme with 4 other people in my holy church of Mortimer, Toad, Toynbee. Alright, jokes aside, I didn't like the scene. I thought it sucked. It portrayed Toad poorly. Look, I think Blade would win, but Toad is way more skilled than this and would give Blade way more trouble than this, whatever this crap was. Luckily for me, headcanons exist, and my headcanon is this: that was not Ray Park's 2000 Toad, and that this was a different Toad. So yeah, to give everyone's character fan service, Gambit, Human Torch, Deadpool, and Wolverine. They even brought back Chris Evans to play Johnny Storm, and they even did the Cavalry. So you mean to tell me, Disney, you can give fan service to even the most random characters like Henry Cavill's Wolverine, but you can't give my Toad the same respect he had in the 2000 movie? Look, I get mad at Bob Iger, but he didn't write the film. He just gave them permission to say the F word 116 times and be very gory. Heck, I'm not disappointed at any of the actors except Ryan Reynolds. Am I mad at Blade's actor for killing Toad? No, he was just doing his job. He was given a script and told what to do. I'm going to respect him for that because Wesley Snipes is a cool guy. He's just like Ray Park. He's a martial artist and actor. So, the only person I hold accountable for Toad's absolute trash of a downgrade is Sean Levy, Ryan Reynolds, Rhett Reese, Paul Wernick, and Zeb Wells. That's all. Alright, so yeah, Ray Park's Toad was cool, and he knows how to be a proper menace to society. He was a 10 out of 10 character because he knew when to talk smack and how to do his job properly. The Toad in X-Men Days of Future Past and the Toad in Deadpool and Wolverine are cheap copies who sucked and were severe disappointments. Hopefully, if Ray Park is watching this video, he'll comment on this video, because if he does, I will flip my lid and lose my mind if I ever get any public acknowledgement on this video essay. Why? Because Ray Park is one of the many actors I would love to meet in real life. He played Toad absolutely perfectly, so I give him huge credit for doing my man right. I'm happy I finally got to get this off my chest and tell you guys, because I've had this on my mind for quite a while now, but didn't want to say anything because everyone loves Deadpool and Wolverine, and I didn't want to be a Debbie Downer. Anyways, thank you all for watching, and this is SJ Raikou signing off. Peace!